I was an immigration inspector for 18 years and 10 months. How many people I deported? You can say in the thousands. I just knew I was going to deport them, and that's it. I didn't see what the consequences were. Now, I'm an illegal alien. They call it karma, that now I have to feel what they feel. Border Patrol can stop you anywhere. I have to be cautious. I run the risk of getting arrested and deported because I don't have any legal status in the U.S. It does hurt and it does make me feel betrayed. All my life I thought I was in this path and then it gets taken away from you. What do I do now? I always knew I was born on January 14th, 1969 in Brownsville, Texas. I lived for my first 5 years of life in Mexico. My parents lived over there. When I was 5 years old, my parents sent me to live with my aunt and uncle in the United States. The reason that my parents gave me was that I was actually a U.S. citizen born in Brownsville, so I couldn't attend school in Mexico. So that's why they sent me with my aunt and uncle, because I had to go to school. The Anglo kids used to piss me off. They call me a wetback. You're a wetback. You're an illegal. But I used to tell them I'm an American citizen, that it don't matter what I look like. I wanted to show people like me can do something, can serve. I was excited to go to the armed forces. It made me more American, I think. I don't know what an American is if it's not somebody that's serving their country.
I met Raul at immigration inspector school. I remember when the first time I met him and I asked him, why did you want to do this? Why do you want to be immigration? He says, every day that I crossed the port of entry when I was a kid, that's what I always wanted. I always said, I'm going to be like them. I got to immigration because I thought the same thing. Right out of high school, I was homeless with my sister and her 5 kids. And we lived on the river outside of Algodones, Mexico, on the US side. And my first interaction with immigration was the Border Patrol agents, that when they would catch people and they had fresh food or water, they would bring it to me and my sister and her kids. Immigration was, look what these guys have done for us. I wanted to be like them.
As an inspector, there's a lot of stuff that we have to do that we don't agree with. Why can't we let this through? You always have that in the back of your mind. There was this young little boy being smuggled. And the thing that sticks to me is that he was coming to donate an organ to his sister who was dying in Houston. And we couldn't even let him through to save this little girl's life. We had to turn him back. He starts crying and crying and crying, and what's wrong? Hey, what's going on? Why are you crying? He said, I left my Bible over there. And we'll just give you another one. I said, no, that's my Bible. Oh, man. This job is not for everybody. If you feel that you can't do what your duties are. This is not for you.
There's a stigma that comes with it, yes, from our families. On one hand, they're very proud of us because to work for the government, I mean, that's a lofty thing in Mexico. And if you work for the U.S. government, I mean, you're, to put it in a Texan phrase, you're the shit, you're somebody. You work for the federal government. But then on the other hand, traicionero, you're a traitor because you're deporting your own people.
Thank you for attending the Commissioner's 2006 Annual Award Ceremony. Officer Rodriguez participated in an undercover sting operation.
I went for the National Award, Integrity Award in Washington, D.C. from the Commissioner. And for me, it was the greatest feeling ever. Now you're somebody. But I lost everything. April 2018, it's a normal day. I see the two managers come in. One of them says, "Hey, Raulito, come to the office." They open up an envelope and he says, "Can you read that?" The paper says, "You're no longer, as of this date, a law enforcement officer. We're gonna have to pick up your gun." About a week later, they take us into a room and they said, "Do you recognize this?" So they give me the birth certificate, the Mexican birth certificate. So I start reading, I see my name, Raul Rodriguez, and I see my parents' names, Francisca, Margarito. "Do you recognize it?" I go, "I've never seen it." They go, "Well, that's your birth certificate there." For 50 years, I thought I was born here. I had a Brownsville birth certificate, a Texas birth certificate. I wanted to know what's the truth. My dad, he always taught us that honesty is the best thing, no matter what. And that's what I live by. So I called my nephew to go get my dad in Mexico. Bring my dad now. Bring him here if you even have to drag him. Why did you do it? Why did you do this to me? Tell me the truth.
Cuando Raúl nació, nada de hospitales. Eso no había. Había para la gente rica, que tenía poder con qué pagar un parto silencioso, que no tuviera dolor la persona. Aquí, nosotros los pobres, por base de partera. Y tanto aquí, en México como en Estados Unidos, eso se usaba, pura partera. En aquel último cuarto. Él nació como a las 10 de la mañana. La hermana mayor mía vivía en Estados Unidos y ella vino y me ofreció un registro americano para Raúl. Mi hijo es inocente, porque siempre lo ocultamos nosotros esto. Mi esposa hace 6 años que murió y ella se llevó a la tumba el secreto. Pues lo que pensamos, pues una mejor vida para él. Nada más. Me da pena, me da vergüenza enfrentarme a él porque ella es un hombre hecho y derecho. Ahora me da pena, me da vergüenza hablar con él porque yo cometí ese error. ¿Cuáles eran las consecuencias que va a sufrir?
¿Quién más se afectó?
su hijo.
I always wanted to be like my dad. The day they told me that I wasn't a citizen, that next week I was actually supposed to go for my interview for a customs agent job. I always knew that I was born in Mexico. My mom had me over there. And then I got my papers because of my dad, because he was a citizen. So, I mean, it wasn't very complicated. First couple of minutes, I didn't think it affected me. And then they were like, well, if his citizenship is put into question, you got your citizenship through your dad, which is invalid. And we're like, what do you mean? Like, I'm not a citizen? And then that's when it sunk in. They can really deport me. My grandpa, I try not to blame him. I think he just wanted a better life for his kid.
I'm trying to immigrate him now. We submitted his paperwork since May of last year, of 2018, as soon as we found out. You would think that they would go out of their way to help him, get him his residency, get him his citizenship that he's due. But that's not happening. A year and a half later, we're still waiting for a response. What we're feeling now, the betrayal that we're feeling now, it's not the agents, it's the system itself. Immigration is my passion, and I'm not gonna let anybody taint the idea of what we've done. But I certainly don't want my kids doing the same job.
It's a badge broken in half with the Mexican flag in the middle. I got it in July, right after I got notified that I was being terminated from CBP. They're delaying everything right now to where they don't want to give me anything at all.
Unfortunately, they have to show, if it ever comes out, they're probably going to have to show that, hey, well, you know, we gave him what he deserved like everybody else, you know. Everybody's going to say, wait a minute, you can't do that. Why if he breaks the law? Or why because this happened to him that we're going to give him an exception? I had a lot of cases of the same situation and everything, but that these guys were not U.S. citizens. Our parents do things that, you know, that we will regret later on. Your dad knew about it. You already talking to your dad? No? You know, I mean, he probably felt that he did wrong, but he should have already told you when you became part of us and everything. But yeah. Disabled U.S. Navy. Ay, Diosito santo. Ah, bueno. Órale, ahí platicamos.
Goodness, look at you.
Skinny and no canas.
No, me either, look. Raul's entire life, his family told him that he had to be in the United States because he was a U.S. citizen. If it wasn't for what they did, I wouldn't have him and I wouldn't have my kids. I'm thankful for that. But there's so much hurt and so much abandonment. He'd always tell me, I wish I had been born in Mexico because then I could have stayed with my mom and dad.
According to my dad, he did it because he wanted a better life for me. but at what cost was the opportunity? He always told me to do the right thing. I always had him up here. He was my hero. He was my dad and my dad. My dad is the most honest man that you can think of. Oh yeah, they were good. He didn't follow his own advice. Now I'm suffering. I hate to say it, but my dad's a piece of shit. Come on, Molly. I'm stuck. I'm stuck in my house. Come on. Lost my job, my retirement. I sleep in increments of maybe 2-3 hours. That stress, it creates problems within the family. It's gonna be a miracle if we don't end up divorcing. Come on, watch out. When I was out there doing the job, I couldn't see what people go through. Come on. I'm not the same person from when I was there. I can relate to people who I turned back, people that I deported, people that I incarcerated. And it's not a good feeling to be on the other side.